use your powers for evil.
Evil? Your evil is mine.
Good morning.
Hi, Jesse.
How you
Good
doing?
morning. Sorry to keep you. Good. Sorry to keep you waiting.
No big deal. I'm editing and working, and a couple of my buds and I were trying to get a podcast, the How Many podcast, going, and um, one of the peculiarities of Junior, he doesn't like recording via Skype because we all live here in Dallas.
Okay.
But trying to get all of us together in the same room can be a little more difficult. And so we haven't recorded in a while, and Rob was like, "Do you want me to kill the feed?" I'm like, No, we're going to do this. So this past week we met and we recorded like 4 or 5 25-minute episodes. We really punched them out. And one of them was how many great Batman movies have there been? And with Adam West passing was
right.
perfect. So I was editing that, and I added a little bumper saying that we recorded this before he passed. But so very timely. So we're gonna, hopefully that'll come out this week.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. So how's
All right.
everything with you guys?
It's going okay.
Okay.
Let's see here. Getting a little feedback. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see here. How's that sound?
Good. You sound good.
All right. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
What's
Good.
going on? Yeah, weekend was good. We were out yesterday down at the Columbus Arts Festival.
I saw a few photos. That looks nice.
Yeah, it was. It was very nice.
Good.
So it's this big downtown festival. And
Ooh, sounds good.
Mostly excuse to go eat like concession food.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Deep fried concession food.
I have a friend who lives very close to Fair Park, which is where the State Fair of Texas is every year, and so she goes probably 10 or 12 times, during the 3 weeks or 4 weeks that it's here, and she will do a couple of nights where specifically just for food. And she'll go just a couple hours, at night or something, but and it is just, let's go get food. So, and there is something wonderful about that.
Yeah, now Lori and I now that we're getting older, it's like, well, I guess we can't walk these things as long as we used to.
Exactly. I think I mentioned that the greatness of Frenchman Street in New Orleans, where we stayed, is everything was 2 or 3 blocks from each other versus, the French Quarter itself is just spread out everywhere, and this was all condensed, so it was nice.
Yeah, Lori suggested that we maybe at some point that we meet you guys down in New Orleans because I've never been, and Lori wants to go back. So at some point down the road.
Oh, that's a great idea. That would be wonderful.
If you'd like to plan that, then we could see you guys and enjoy New Orleans together.
That'd be great.
If you're up for that.
No, I think that would be great.
Okay.
All right. So
so let's see. Okay,
we got Holly's email this time.
Yeah, exactly. So I tweaked the notification settings because I noticed the notifications weren't coming through.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So I got that sorted, hopefully.
And let's see.
But I got that set up, and so we've got 2 Holly emails and a Judy Dion audio feedback.
Okay, great.
So probably need to get that attached.
Okay, and then Ken from Chicago sent 3 tweets. Did you see those?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can mention those too. So, well,
Yeah.
good. All right, so we've got tons.
Yeah, we got tons of feedback. Yeah, we might
that's
have
great.
to. Yeah, this could be a little longer. I don't know, but
Yeah,
we'll
that's
try and
okay.
get through it. So
All right.
we should probably get going.
I am ready.
All right. So whenever you want to count us down.
3, 2.
Hello, Whovians. Welcome back to Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs. With me in the TARDIS, as always, my partner in time, Jesse Jackson.
Hey, Charles. It is good to be here. Though the TARDIS may be sputtering a little bit. We may have to get Missy to help us do a tune-up.
Are we sure that Nardole didn't just leave the parking brake on?
I don't know. I hope that is one of the segments we're going to discuss.
Oh, it is.
I have questions.
Questions abound.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Yeah, that would be segment number 3. So
All right.
Stay tuned for that. But for those who are wondering what we're talking about Empress of Mars, which is the 9th episode of Series 10 here in 2017. And so, yes, we've hit the 3/4 mark as we're heading for the home stretch of Series 10.
Yeah, we're rounding third base, heading toward home. So I'm going to...
I was doing like a Kentucky Derby metaphor.
That's even better.
You just switched it to a baseball metaphor.
I think yours was better. So I'm going to twist things a little bit. And because we normally start with you asking me what I thought of the episode. So I'm going to ask you what you think about the episode. Then I will share my thoughts.
You're throwing me off my game here, Jackson.
No.
All right. So I enjoyed this one. I thought it was a very straightforward episode. Not a whole lot needed to be done as far, not a lot of overly convoluted Moffat interference in this one, I thought. It was a lot of great nods to the past, particularly one I want to talk about a little bit. And I enjoyed it. What about you?
You and I are in sync. In fact, the note I wrote, and that's why I was going to ask you first, sometimes after a lot of fancy meals and rich creams, you just crave a great hamburger and fries.
Exactly.
And it is
sometimes simple is best.
And it's just beautiful. And you're like, God, that was good. And that's how I felt in this episode. Now, I have a rule in my house, Charles.
Uh-oh.
That if there is new Who, you do not go to bed till you've seen it. And so last night, we went out to dinner. We met the future in-laws. Chris is getting pretty serious with Erica, and so we went to dinner with Erica's parents.
Do we have a proposal?
No. In fact, I started to pick at Chris about so I'm going to.
You just said the future in-laws, so I'm thinking proposal.
No, it's leaning that way.
But you're thinking you're getting a daughter-in-law.
Yes, we are, and so we did not get home till about 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so then everyone's puttering around. So it was almost 11:35 before I sat down to watch the episode.
Yes.
And I was really tired. And I got through where the Empress awoke, and I found myself going, what happened? Where? And I said, I'm going to break my rule. I'm going to turn it off. I went and slept, and then I got up this morning and watched the episode twice.
Right.
And I was like, I'm so glad, I didn't force myself to, because
you thought you would have been ruined if you had forced yourself to stay up.
Right. And so I ended up truly loving the episode, and I think just because of your sake, it's such a simple story, but a good story. And so so I'm excited. So I return the steering wheel back to you, Charles.
No problem. So yeah, this was written by Mark Gatiss, who tends to be hit or miss with his Doctor Who scripts.
I was going to say you have a mixed relationship with Mark Gatiss. Love him in Sherlock, but
I don't think it's just me.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just me, but so yeah, he's written episodes like the rather dubious episode from last season, Sleep No More, which got a name check in this episode.
Ah, okay.
And if you paid attention, I saw what you did there, Mark Gatiss, working that title in. And he also wrote Robot of Sherwood.
Yes, which I like a lot.
Right. The Crimson Horror, Cold War. He's written The Unquiet Dead. He's written The Idiot's Lantern, a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, he tends to be hit or miss in my opinion. Thankfully here, I think he has a hit, and if this is his last Doctor Who script with him, if he's going to be leaving along with Stephen Moffat, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they're such good writing partners and creative partners. But if it is, at least he's going out on a decent note, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I thought this was really well done.
And this was directed by Wayne Yip, who directed the previous episode from last week, where we had the end of the Monk trilogy. So yes.
Yeah, and I almost read the directory.
The Lie of the Land
as VIP was his last name, instead of Vip. Yep. It's like, he's a VIP director.
No. He's a yipper. He's a yippee. Yippee!
Yay!
So before we get into this, of course, I want to run down a couple of notable cast members.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we get the return of Michelle Gomez as Missy. And not for very long. It's more of a cameo, but it's a big one, I think.
It's a very big one. And I was at first wondering if we were just going to get her voice, but I'm glad. And
she turned up in physical form.
Yeah, not to get ahead, but that was some great acting by Nardole when she's like, maybe it'd be easier for me to show you, and he's got this. So yeah. I'll package.
Exactly. Yeah. Just save it. You're just here to talk about this. I can tell. I also want to talk about Yasanne. I think it's pronounced Yasanne. It's Yasanne, or Isan. I'm not sure. Churchman, who does the voice of Alpha Centauri, the ambassador from the Galactic Federation that shows up at the end. And interestingly enough, it's the very same voice actress that did Alpha Centauri back in 1972 and 1974 from The Curse of Peladon and The Monster of Peladon 2 John Pertwee classics.
I read that somewhere, and I was
or at least
hoping
one of them is a classic. The other one, not so much. But
I was hoping you were going to see. You were going to talk about that because I read that somewhere else that it was, that was a pretty cool Easter egg.
It was. So we'll talk about that as well. But and she also did the voice of the spiders on John Pertwee's final story, Planet of the Spiders.
Oh, okay.
And interestingly enough, that makes her, now that she's age 92 now.
Wow.
So this makes her the oldest living actress to appear on Doctor Who so far.
Very cool.
So that was very cool that they went back and got the original voice actress to reprise Alpha Centauri all these years later. I mean, we're talking, this is like what, 43 years later?
Yeah, that is awesome.
Wow.
And the other cool thing, and you may be bringing this up, but when they showed the painting of Queen Victoria, they used the image of the actress who was in Tooth and Claw, which is my bet for Reverse the Polarity. Just throwing that, I'm putting my money on that square.
You're staking your claim.
I am. Okay.
We'll see where it goes.
Okay.
That's a good call. And
now I know that's the modern era, so that's usually go classic, but yes.
Yep. No. That's fair because I did modern era last time.
Yes, you did. So okay.
So we'll see. And also there's a couple other actors. Anthony Caff, who plays Godsaker.
Mm-hmm.
He played a character named Charles. Great name.
Yes, that is a great name.
And he was in a Peter Davison story called The Visitation. So here's another old school actor returning to Doctor Who.
Nice.
And an actor by the name of Ian Beatty, he plays Jackdaw in this story. And if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you may know him by a character name of Sir Meryn Trent.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, Sir Meryn Trent. And he's a character on Game of Thrones. So not a major one, but he's there.
Yeah, okay, good.
So I just thought I'd give him a shout out because we're both Game of Thrones fans.
Yes, we are.
All right, so on to the main topics.
Yes.
First topic: is there life on Mars?
Nice.
And a little shout out to David Bowie. Apologies for butchering his song.
That's
there.
okay.
But yeah, I'm not a singer, so go figure.
Yes.
Don't claim to be. But this, of course, is the Doctor and Bill taking a little trip to Mars. Bill's first trip to Mars. The Doctor's probably umpteenth trip to Mars.
Yes.
But so I want to talk about the Doctor and Bill in this story as they take a little trip to NASA and just hang out there in the old control room and see a little interesting little message that says "God Save the Queen" on the Martian landscape. And then take a trip back to 1881 or something like that, where they find out the source of that message. So what did you think about the Doctor and Bill in this story, Jesse?
So do you have a feel why they were in NASA? Because that kind of seems...
It just seemed like a quick, cheap gag.
Okay.
It didn't seem like it was it was convenient to tease the story,
right.
I think. It didn't really seem like it had a purpose. Like, hey, let's just coincidentally go to NASA, and then this just kind of leads us right into our story on Mars.
So all I could think is
it was kind of a weird opening.
It was a good opening. I felt a little bit of a wasted opening.
Right.
And I could think of the prop designers and set designers going, really? I've got to build this whole NASA. So I hope they use an existing set from some other show.
So do I.
Yeah, because it's like that's a lot of stuff.
It's a big waste.
Yeah, it is. But I loved it.
Plus, they had a lot of extras in there for just that little scene.
Yeah, and it was also a little bit of forced of Bill going, is this Neil Armstrong? Like, of course that would have been Neil Armstrong. That just to get the joke about, well, no, he wasn't the first, man on the moon and such. But very little nitpick. I do love that the Doctor and Bill seem to be back in a good place.
Yes.
I like...
Maybe the Doctor has forgiven Bill by now.
Yes.
Hopefully.
They seem to be, it was a fun adventure where she, did get to go to Mars. I did love the fire scene and the joke. Okay, if there's fire, that means there's oxygen. And they like, no. And then Nardole, basic physics, So, I just like their relationship a lot.
Bill has a decent scene in this where actually a couple of decent scenes where she's actually kind of relating to the Ice Queen.
Yes.
Araxa.
I thought that was a really well done. I also thought, and this might make the quotes you had, but I'm going to forgive your Victorian attitude because, you are from Victoria. Yeah, she was just really well done. And the more I see Bill, the more I hope we get another season of her. She's just been a joy. But, once again, this was a very, and I don't want to damn this with faint praise, it was a simple story. So there isn't a lot of complexity in the Doctor and Bill's interactions this time. It was just a straightforward story, and she was a good companion, and I liked it a lot.
And that's okay. And I think it was exactly what we needed after that rather messy three-parter.
I totally agree.
Yeah, because that as we talked about last week, we thought that this was, at least I thought this was a three-parter that could have easily been a two-parter, and just kind of unnecessarily convoluted the storyline where it didn't really need to be.
Totally agree. We were on sync. We were in sync for that, and so.
So this was a good,
palate cleanser, or just a great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Great way to cleanse the palate, like you said. So yeah, this was very good. So yeah, we had that. And let's see what else. The story seems to be more about the Ice Warriors and these Victorian era British officers.
Yes.
So it just happens that Bill and the Doctor are kind of there,
Yeah.
and watching everything and kind of participating.
Hmm.
So there's not really a whole lot to their side of this.
No. I did like the interaction between the British officers
Right?
and the redemption of the leader. And I'm sure
Right.
we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
I think that's what made the story go just, while still pretty straightforward, bringing it up to,
Yeah.
it was a nice ending and a nice, kind of setting up for the story.
Yeah, and then once again we had the Doctor interacting with the Ice Warriors.
Yes.
The Ice Warriors are essentially like the fifth biggest Doctor Who monster after, well, obviously the Daleks, the Cybermen. Um, let's see, we have the Centaurans and probably the Weeping Angels. I'm guessing. Actually, Weeping Angels probably be the third, if not higher, these
Right.
days. But so yeah, we had the Ice Warriors tend to be not a major Doctor Who monster, but they're kind of an interesting monster because the Doctor has this very diplomatic ambassador-like relationship with them.
Yeah, I was glad to
from
see them.
previous stories.
Yeah, I was glad to see them back. I had liked them in the submarine episode.
Yeah, Cold War. That was also written by Mark Gatiss.
Yeah, so
he's essentially now the Ice Warrior, new Ice Warrior writer.
He must have an affection for them. And
right.
there was a little bit of if we cross shows, a little bit of the Klingon honor and that feeling of,
yes.
we will respect each other, and I liked that a lot. I liked, in fact, another great line was, the Doctor saying, "I tend to always think like a warrior," which I think is a little bit of retcon,
Yes.
Maybe, since I was a war doctor, I was implied, I've always thought like a little bit like a warrior.
Yeah. And I like that. I like that little acknowledgement now of the War Doctor era. Like, obviously, the Doctor felt after his War Doctor incarnation that he couldn't talk about that.
Right.
But since the Day of the Doctor, he's obviously come to terms with it.
Yes.
And now he feels like he can actually maybe not openly discuss it, but he doesn't feel like he can't mention it.
Yeah, and I like that a lot.
Right. So I guess some progress for the Doctor on that one. He's actually coming to terms with part of himself that he wasn't very fond of.
Yes.
And so that was nice. And yeah, like you said, the Doctor seems to have the kinds of respect the Ice Warrior's sense of honor. And obviously they're kind of like a different monster or different type of warrior than the Centaurans.
Yes.
The Centaurans are just like, hey, let's fight.
Yeah. But
the Ice Warriors seem to have a code about it.
Yes, they do.
Right. So, all right. So why don't we? This is I guess a decent segue into the second topic I have: A Song of Ice and Fire.
Ooh, very nice.
Thank
very
you.
Nice.
So this is obviously the Ice Warriors and the British Victorian era officers.
Yeah.
And of course Queen Araxa.
Yeah, I did think it was a nice twist, though I kind of saw it coming that when the guy had the rifle, he was talking to the Doctor, not to Friday.
Yes.
A little bit condescending to name the Ice Warrior Friday after the Robinson Crusoe.
Well, you have to consider the era these officers are coming from.
Absolutely, I understand.
They're not exactly politically correct.
They are not.
In the 19th century.
It was a great visual to see the Ice Warrior acting as a manservant, serving.
Well, obviously he's just biding his time, as it turns out.
Absolutely.
So it's just like, hey, yeah, you want me to kind of, you think you could just, like, I'm just some savage that you're going to conquer and turn into your slave? Well, guess what, buddy? I'm using you to get back to my home planet.
And I did think it was, they set up that, the second in command kept acting like he was in charge, and then the the commander, and I didn't catch their names. You probably have them because you're
yeah,
always better researched than I am.
You mean Godsaker and Catchlove?
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought that was nice, and where he finally, breaks in and shows the noose, and the leader admitting that yes, I was a coward, and he's bled me dry.
Yeah, that's Godsaker, by the way.
Yeah, Godsaker. I liked that character a lot, and I liked his journey. For a 45-minute episode, we got a really nice little character arc for him, and
where you find out he's basically like an admitted coward, but yet he wants to die with honor.
And to have that interaction with the Queen and set them up where, he's telling the Doctor that, helping to build a world is not a bad redemption, is very, I don't want to use the word sweet, but it's a very satisfying ending. It is something that I go, this is nice. We get a kind of happy ending, and once again, I doubt if we'll ever go back, but, one of the nice things about, the Moffat era and even the, Russell T Davies era is every once in a while they would go back to little, characters they had seen before and kind of revisit them. So I like this a lot.
So you're kind of saying you'd like to see Godsaker with Araxa and the Ice Warriors one more time.
Yeah, I would. It would have to be
just to find out how it turned out.
Yes, and I don't know. Maybe Big Finish will decide to do that. Because they tend to be.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible with Big Finish. Absolutely.
I mean, come on, we're getting the 10th Doctor and Rose here later in the year on Big Finish. And so we never expected that, did we?
Another thing I wanted to mention, Charles, that has really no significance into the story, but I found it amusing, is, they're on Mars, yet they've put up a tent because, as British, that's what you do. You stay in a tent. You
have this big table spread.
Where you're doing tea.
Have tea.
Yes.
And it's very it's very proper British.
Yes, and they're all in their this at era uniform with their pith helmets, and it is very formal. You don't need a tent because you're in a cave. You could just throw your bedroll down and sleep, but you have that.
There's that. It's that military discipline.
Yes, exactly.
And then they were very. Yeah, it's not like something you would see in, like, say, Apocalypse Now.
Right.
Movie. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's very formal and very rule adhering.
Yes. And then
it's just their structure that they need.
And we had another wink to, when we were at the Ice Festival, they talked about, Bill says, I'm surprised at the amount of people of different, You
mean the Frost Festival?
Frost Festival, with the different people of color. Yes. And, and so we have a British soldier that is,
of African descent.
Of African descent. Yeah, I want to go African American, but it's
no,
British.
He's not so because he's a British officer.
So of African descent, and and it's just they act pretty normal to it. And I always love that we, in this modern era, we're casting in a lot of ways, racially.
See, part of me kind of is like, well, that's not very historically accurate.
No, but
I get that you want to be inclusive and diversity, and I'm all for that. But there's also the history,
right?
Aspect.
And so I'm okay with that. I always understand what's going on, and then embrace the fact that we are racially diverse in our modern casting. So, but did you enjoy these Victorian era soldiers?
Yeah,
and
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was, obviously a little unusual to see. And that's what Doctor Who specializes in, is the unusual. You wouldn't expect 19th century British military officers to be on Mars dealing with all these Ice Warrior aliens, and that's what kind of made a good contrast, because you had these very proper British officers compared against, or juxtaposed against, the code of the Ice Warriors.
Absolutely, and we had steampunk without it being steampunk, which
Right,
was a
and
lot of
I
fun.
agree. And there was the steampunk style astronaut
Yeah,
suits, environment suits
yeah,
that which were very cool.
it
And I kind
was.
of like to see those again because I dig steampunk. So
Yes,
yeah, I kind of like
absolutely.
that. All right. Let's see. Anything else about Araxa? I thought that Araxa had a great relationship with Bill, or at least
Yes,
seemed to respect her, mostly because hey, she's the only other female
yes,
in the group, and it's like, hey, okay, I'm these guys are idiots all
yeah,
around us.
right.
So why don't you tell me what you think?
Yes, I thought that was
And
really.
coming off of seeing Wonder Woman in the theaters, that I thought this is like this is very timely.
So, Charles, I'm laughing because I saw Wonder Woman yesterday morning.
And did you like it?
Oh, I loved it. Believe
I
the
told you
hype.
you
Yeah,
would.
believe the hype. It is truly. It isn't a great superhero movie. It's just a great movie. It just is really well done. And but I thought about going, okay, I'm overly.
Now you can read my review on Damn Good
Yes,
Coffee, by the way.
I'm overly. I, I'm I'm seeing things that aren't necessarily true because I just saw Wonder Woman. And so I'm really glad you brought that up because I think there is similarities. This female empowerment and
Right.
the Queen trusting Bill and wanting to hear her side, and Bill talking about the guy like, she says, "Well, we're kind of policemen." And the doctor, "Speak for yourself." And the guy thinks that's so funny that there
Yeah.
would be a female policeman.
Well, it makes sense because the doctor doesn't want to be considered the authority. He's
Exactly.
anti-authority. So
Absolutely.
again, he's trying to show his rebel side.
Yes, I fought the law and the law won sometimes. Yes.
Yeah. He's
So
like, wait a minute, I'm not the police here.
yeah, exactly.
Don't even associate me with that.
Good.
So that was good.
And I thought it was a good solution.
Yeah.
I
What do you
guess
think of what do you think of Araxa sparing Godsaker's life at the end?
I thought that was really well done. And we go back to when Bill gave the Earth to save the Doctor's sight. She was sincere.
Right.
And Godric was sincere about it's time for me to pay for my cowardice. But, let me be the sacrifice, let my friends and my comrades go. And the Queen saw his sincerity. She saw his willingness to be brave, and she gave him a chance for redemption. She said, "You will die, but not today." And that's a little bit Princess Bride. I may kill you, Wesley.
Yeah.
Most likely, I'll kill you tomorrow.
I'll kill you later.
Yeah, but I thought that was really well done.
But I think she saw a way like, okay, I respect your need to die with honor.
Yes.
And I want to help you accomplish this.
Yes. And she also gets someone from a fresh perspective. You can take someone, on Powdiver. A lot of times when you're a ruler, the people who give you counsel are so important. Look at our modern era, but we won't get into that.
Enough said there.
Yeah, and she's doing that. I also think a good point, and I don't know much about the Ice Warriors, but I love the word of hive because there's one female queen,
Right.
and all these other male drones and things.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really well done as well too.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to our third and final topic this week.
Okay.
Evil woman. The evil woman. And that's, of course, Missy.
Right.
And, of course, Nardole. And the rather interesting development where we find the TARDIS suddenly disappearing from Mars. And when it finally returns, oh, hey, Nardole brought along Missy.
Yeah.
Surprise, Doctor and Bill. So I want to get your take on that.
So last night, as I was watching Tired, I didn't catch that. So with fresh eyes this morning, um, Sexy does decide to go on her own. You know, Nardole doesn't take the TARDIS.
Now, were you like me and seeing that scene where Sexy decides, okay, that's it, I'm out of here?
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what's going on?
I was very confused. And then when Nardole couldn't get the TARDIS to basically start, you could, in my mind, there's nothing to repair. The TARDIS knows something that Nardole and the Doctor doesn't know. Is my theory that I'm going to stay here till we get Missy on board, because there is a reason why we need Missy on board the TARDIS. We know from the wonderful Neil Gaiman episode that the TARDIS sees all kind of timelines at the same time. And so I believe, my theory is that there is a reason why she had to go back, and there is a reason why she wanted Missy on that TARDIS.
Okay.
Now I don't know what it is.
That's a good theory.
Okay.
Now my theory.
Okay.
Maybe because I'm a little more cynical, maybe because I know the history of the Master a little better than you, at least all of them. I would like to think that, at least my theory, is that Missy this is all part of Missy's long game plan, like I mentioned last week, that I think that maybe she did a little shenanigans inside the Doctor's TARDIS.
But when was she on the TARDIS to do that?
We don't know. Could have been, it's Missy. Maybe she figured out how to hack in. Who knows?
Okay, fair enough.
Missy finds a way to do these things.
Okay.
So my theory is that this was all a pre-programmed thing where she programmed the TARDIS to leave the strand, maroon the Doctor.
Okay.
And with Nardole inside, and therefore, because you notice it doesn't take off until Nardole returns to the TARDIS.
Yes.
So, maybe Missy felt that Nardole had to release her from the vault. So that was all part of her plan to get out of the vault and back into play once again.
Okay.
Why, we don't know.
Yeah.
But at the very end of the episode, where the Doctor and Bill find Missy aboard the TARDIS, she comes right up to the Doctor and kind of looks him over, and she's making comments about his health.
Yeah, are you okay? Right?
Yeah. Now, we don't know if it's his mental health she's referring to or his physical health, because, hey, there's regeneration coming up.
Yeah.
But probably the latter.
And
so maybe she was wondering if he's dying.
Yeah. And so I think that is evidence of my theory.
Yes.
Because you have talked about, and Take a Drink, Ken Schaefer has talked about how good of an actress Missy is.
The mistress, yeah.
But it appeared that she seemed sincerely concerned about the Doctor.
Okay.
So
my question then to you is,
yes.
Okay, if she was genuinely concerned to see what the Doctor is,
yes,
why did she get out of the vault in the first place? What was her purpose in getting out of the vault? You think it's because Sexy wanted her out of the vault?
Yes. So here's my theory, and I don't know why, but for some reason, the TARDIS knew that for the Doctor's safety or for a crisis that's coming up, they needed Missy on the TARDIS. They needed her, these two remaining Time Lords together. So therefore, she took the TARDIS back to the university. Will not start again. Nardole goes to the vault, says, "It doesn't start, I need your help." Missy, sincerely, because she is trying to live in my opinion, she is trying to live right. I don't think it's going to stick, but I think she is trying right now. And she said, okay, I can do this. It's easier to show you. Nardole debates, decides, okay, I'm gonna gamble. They get there, then the TARDIS is happy because this is what we need to do. But Missy does something that she honestly thinks needs to be done. The TARDIS works. They're there on Mars, and then the Sexies, the TARDIS's grand plan is now in place. That the people she needs for the next few episodes are there in place. The chess pieces are in place.
Okay. So essentially, your theory boils down to the TARDIS is manipulating events.
Yes.
And my theory is that Missy is manipulating events.
Absolutely. I think that is. Yeah.
So we'll see that kind of is, to boil that down to its.
Yeah.
Its
no, that's exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
All right. So we'll see who's right.
Yeah.
Well,
do you have a theory about why she's asking the Doctor about his health?
I think she knows something.
Okay.
I think she's trying to slyly infer that to the Doctor that, hey, I know that you know that I know that you know that something's up.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay.
Why or what?
Much like in the Leftovers.
Or did she even cause it? We'll find out. Much
like in the Leftovers, former Dr. Eccleston, was dying and no one knew.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched it. Okay, but never mind. Okay. He's really good in it, which is not a surprise.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just haven't seen it. So
okay.
Nothing against him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Because I enjoyed him on Heroes. So,
yeah, I did too.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else about this story you want to talk about?
No. I just, like I said, it was nice to see. I liked it a lot, and good stuff.
Yeah. So, it was great to see Alpha Centauri again. One thing I want to talk about real quick before we move on.
Yeah, please do, because
Alpha Centauri. Quick rundown. Okay. Alpha Centauri is this hermaphroditic alien. Basically, like, to kind of just humorously describe it.
Okay.
Her, it, she, it. Take your pronoun pick. In this one. Essentially like a very phallic-shaped alien that is a cyclops with a big eye.
Okay.
As we saw on the monitor screen in
right.
this episode. Okay. So Alpha Centauri first appeared in a John Pertwee era story called The Curse of Peladon as a delegate of the Galactic Federation that was there to oversee Peladon's admission into the Federation.
Got it.
And it just so happened that the third Doctor and Joe Grant turned up.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, hey, the delegate overseeing the Federation or admission to the Federation, Doctor and Joe show up. And then turns up later in toward the end of John Pertwee's run in the sequel, The Monster of Peladon, after Alpha Centauri became the Galactic Federation ambassador to Peladon. This character, with her very high-pitched voice, gets very excitable, and would just like flail around and going, "Oh, this is, oh, I don't know what we're going to do." Blah 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 blah. But the Doctor knows Alpha Centauri, and it's a great continuity nod back to the John Pertwee era, which the Ice Warriors were both featured in both stories, both Peladon stories, as ambassadors from Mars and part of this Federation.
So
this is essentially this story, Empress of Mars, is essentially a prequel to the Peladon stories, showing how the Ice Warriors, the Martians, join the Galactic Federation.
Which is why our current Doctor looks so knowingly when Bill is asking about what's going to go.
Yeah, he's just remembering from his third incarnation about his time with experiences with the Ice Warriors.
And thank you, Charles, for that reverse the polarity.
But I did want to give some background because obviously there's going to be a lot of new Who fans that are going to be like, okay, who is this Alpha Centauri person and why haven't I not heard of them before?
And this was done perfectly.
This is where you need to go and check out if you want to know more about Alpha Centauri.
But, if you don't go check, you just can acknowledge. I mean, it was a perfect,
Right.
nod that to continuity. That for those of you who do know that, you get a little extra. Ah, I see what they did there. But those of us who don't,
it's a great Easter egg for classic fans like myself.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, with Mark Gatiss being a huge Jon Pertwee era fan, he felt like, oh yeah, we got to bring Alpha Centauri back. And thankfully, they got the original voice actress to reprise the role, which is
I still think so cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad she was still alive and able to do it.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's move on to favorite lines of the episode. Do you have some favorite lines?
Yes, I do.
Okay, for it.
Catch loves. Well, I dare say the British Army is more than a match for a bunch of upright crocodiles.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I was tempted to use that one, but I'm glad you did. So that's good. My first one I have, of course, is the Bill's line to the British officers. I'm going to make allowances for your Victorian attitudes because you are, well, Victorian. Which was fun.
That was great. I'm going to mention the one you talked about when Araxa, and you, female, what do you say? And Bill like, me? We are both surrounded by noisy males. I would value your opinion. And I'm like, what a better thing. No, yeah, these talkative,
these guys
noise, I want to hear somebody who makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously they're very big on the matriarchy there, so that's good. I like the doctor's line about a sonic screwdriver. Why is there still no setting for wood?
I love that episode. I love that too.
Which is an excellent question. Doctor, you've had 13 incarnations. You might want to get on that. Mm-hmm. So we're not sure why, but so I kind of wonder if the next sonic screwdriver will finally have a setting for wood because it's kind of ridiculous at this point.
It is. I also love the simple fact you don't belong here. The sooner you get off this planet, the better. And Ketchlev, don't belong here. We're British. Mars is part of the Empire now.
All right, my last quote is again from the Doctor. This is after Bill has gone through the entire episode, bringing up all kinds of movies like The Terminator and what is the other one? I can't remember. The Thing, maybe?
Yeah, it was The Thing. She brought up The Terminator, The Thing, and The Vikings with Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis.
Right.
Which is a great classic movie, by the way. I love that
Bill's
movie.
a big movie buff, and the Doctor is clueless about all of these. And then finally, toward the end of the episode, says, trapped in eternal winter, like Frozen. It's a movie. Which is like, okay, you don't know those other movies, but you know Frozen?
Yes. And I think in our feedback section, somebody else makes that comment. Yes. Right. My last one.
I have to think that was a 11th Doctor favorite.
Yes,
that
I do.
He just happens to remember because that seemed right up the 11th Doctor's alley, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And I did love that the last one I have, Bill says, if there are people here, why would they bother writing messages on the surface of the planet? And the Doctor, state visit, patriotic fever, rogue graffiti artist. I thought that was pretty silly and really fun.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so what's your rating for this episode?
I think you'll catch this one.
Okay.
And I specifically picked this one out of love for you.
Yes.
I'm giving this 9 out of 10
Ooh.
Alan Scott power rings.
Because Alan Scott's weakness is wood.
Yes.
So I see what you did there, Jackson.
Thank you. That's why I did not mention.
So why still no setting for wood?
Yes.
All right, I see what you did there. Very clever, very clever. So the Golden Age Green Lantern, for those who don't know who Alan Scott is, but yes. All right, so my rating, I was a little less on this one, but mostly it wasn't that it was bad. It was just that it wasn't eventful. I mean, like a major story.
Yes.
So I gave it a solid 8.5 out of 10 pith helmets.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that a lot. Yeah. I think I gave it a little bit more because, as I used my food metaphor earlier, sometimes you're really hungry for something and then when you eat it, you go, wow, I don't know if it was just me, but that was, that was just some of the best pizza I've had in a long time, or wow, that was a great place of, um, gravy, and so I think I was in the mood for a basic, really good Doctor Who story, and that's what it hit. So that's why I think I gave it a little bit higher rating than you. Though 8.5 is pretty good. I mean, it
Yeah, I mean,
is,
it's nothing to
yeah,
sneeze at. So yeah,
exactly,
I definitely liked it.
yeah,
So yeah, a
good,
solid effort from Mark Gatiss, possibly his last. We'll find out.
absolutely good.
All right. Okay, so reverse the polarities time.
Yes, dun dun
As we reverse the
dun dun
polarities, the new
dun.
time.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to 1967.
Ah, dang it.
Yep, with a season 5 story. I believe it's like the third season or third serial from season 5.
Okay.
Um, the Ice Warriors,
Okay.
which is the very first appearance of the Ice Warriors, written by Brian Hales.
Okay.
So if you want to learn more about the Ice Warriors, this is a good one because obviously it's their first appearance.
Got it.
So the TARDIS arrives in the distant future outside a base called Britannicus Base, where the staff are trying to control an ionizer that they're using to slow the progress of glaciers rolling over Britain. So, hey, climate change. Guess what? It's real. See, Doctor Who proved it in 1967.
Absolutely.
So the second Doctor, Jamie and Victoria. So we've got Jamie, your favorite.
Yes, it is.
And so they go inside. The Doctor helps out with the ionizer. These two base members named Arden and Walters return to the base with an armored man within a block of ice found on a glacier. Arden sets up a device to melt the ice around the man, and the Doctor examines him, and they determine that the Ice Warrior is an alien being. Now, emergency meeting distracts the staff, and the creature becomes mobile, knocking Jamie unconscious and takes Victoria hostage. The creature identifies itself to Victoria as Varga, an ice warrior from the planet Mars. So again, you have an ice warrior waking up, just like in the story Empress of Mars, who has been frozen for millennia, just like Empress of Araxa.
Yes.
Because remember, Araxa was asleep for 5,000 years, which is one hell of a snooze button, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned on Twitter last night. So Varga insists that Victoria help him find his ship and crew. And in the glacier, Varga finds 4 frozen ice warriors, revives them, and assigns them to create defensive structures and dig their craft out of the ice. The base's video link comes alive, operated by Victoria, who warns them of the danger from the ice warriors. Varga decides to attack the base and orders the ice warriors to prepare a sonic cannon. The sonic blast glances the base, causing minor damage. Varga threatens to fire again unless the humans surrender. Now, knowing that the base dome cannot survive another sonic blast, the base leader Clint suggests a peace meeting between the two sides. However, the talks end up failing when a demented technician, Walters, tries to shoot the Martians, just like that idiot officer from the British Army that tried to shoot ice warriors in bulletproof armor. Way to go.
Yeah. Not very smart.
Empress of Mars. Yeah. Varga dismantles the ionizer reactor to get the mercury isotopes he needs for his ship. Without the ionizers, the glaciers start moving forward again. And the Doctor and Victoria adjust the Martian sonic cannon so it will harm the ice warriors and not the humans. The Doctor fires the sonic cannon, forcing Varga and his men to retreat from the base. He fuses the sonic cannon before he and Victoria flee the ship. The Martian craft begins to power up, but is destroyed by the ionizer. The ship explodes without starting a chain reaction, which, hey, solves the problem of the ice warriors and the glacier all in one shot. Their work done, the TARDIS crew slip away as green begins to emerge through all the melting snow.
Nice.
So that's the Ice Warriors.
Okay, good.
Very first appearance, and definitely recommend checking that out.
Very cool.
So
I do recommend, if you haven't seen Tooth and Claw with the Queen Victoria, it's worth seeing.
Exactly. You
Yes.
might you could follow that up next with
Okay.
Tooth and Claw.
Yes, indeed. Good. Cool.
I just thought this had a more direct
No,
connection.
I absolutely totally agree. Good.
And all right, so we've got a lot of feedback this week.
We do.
We need to play catch up because we've had some email difficulties that hopefully have been ironed out. So
Yes.
no worry. So if you've been trying to email us, we'll try and get this message now. So hopefully we've got it all worked out and figured out. So yeah, we've got 2 messages from Holly from Wisconsin.
Absolutely. What an episode. I really got a Sound of Drums / Last of the Time Lords vibe from this episode. Poor Bill being put through that test by Nardole and the Doctor. The use of Bill's mom to throw off the monks was a great touch. They have hightailed it out of Earth, but it makes me wonder if it's the last we'll be seeing of them. The ending with Missy was interesting. I think there's some things that are still going to be resolved regarding with her in some of the episodes remaining. Holly from Wisconsin. First off, Holly, thank you so much. We shout outed to you last episode that we hadn't heard from you, and right after you go, did you not get my email? And sure enough, when we looked, there it was. So thank you for being consistent.
I tried to email. It's like, hey, look, we've got it. It's all worked out. So
yes, it is. So, and I told her the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, the episode the feedback you're about to read, she actually reached out to me on Facebook Messenger and said, hey, did you get my feedback? And I said, yes, we're recording today and we are going to read it. So yes. Thank you, Holly. And yes, we discussed many of those topics in the episode, as you well know. All right.
So part 2 of Holly's email. So we're finally getting caught up and current here.
Yes.
Regarding Empress of Mars. Hey, Charles and Jesse. Interesting episode. The Doctor scolding both Nardole and Bill for taking off their helmets before checking to see if it was actually oxygen fueling the fire. So that was nice to see.
It was nice. I agree.
Nardole asking Missy for help with the TARDIS was a nice touch, but asking him to let her out is just asking for trouble. So Holly is on Team Charles.
Yes, she is on Team Charles. I was going to say the same thing.
Yep. So obviously a very astute woman, I must say. So loved all the movie references that Bill and the Doctor made. Why do I get the feeling that the Doctor is finally going to add a setting onto the sonic screwdriver to actually handle wood?
That is Charles's prediction for the next Doctor. Will have that. Yes.
Yeah, well, hopefully. So yeah, I think it's about time. It's kind of silly. I mean, it's kind of a cute gag.
It is a cute gag.
I think it's kind of run its course. I think you move on. Maybe he's had it added all this time, but the TARDIS overrode that part of the programming.
Sexy can be difficult at times.
She can.
Yes, she
can. You know, just very temperamental, that TARDIS.
Yes, it is.
Hard to believe that we only have a few episodes left of the series, right?
Yes, yeah. I know. I feel the same way, Holly.
The Ice Warriors almost have the same battle beliefs and sense of what an honorable death is along the lines of the Centaurans without being cloned or Centaur-hying.
Yes, I do agree. Like I said, I got the Klingon sense. You know, the Centaurans have played a little more humor, especially with the Victorian trio, you know?
Right.
So, yes, but I think that's a good point, Holly.
And Holly wraps up, the ending with Missy asking the Doctor if he's okay has me scratching my head. Us too.
Yes, indeed.
And so we'll see. And can't wait for next week's episode. Neither can we. And looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this episode. Well, you just heard them, so hopefully you agree with us. And if you don't, that's okay.
Yes. We just appreciate your consistency, Holly. That's been very nice.
So, thank you for writing in, Holly, both times. And hopefully we're back on track, and hopefully we'll stay that way.
Yes. We also, Ken from Chicago.
Thanks for keeping us honest.
Yes, it did. Ken from Chicago sent I think he is catching up on the podcast because he tweeted, poor Jesse Jackson, DFW, must have hated this season of Doctor Who that was all two-parters. One and done. Thank you very much. Please and thank you. So, yes, I did. I think that's where I got a little bit frustrated, so thank you, Ken, for that. He also responded to us about our discussion about the Doctor wanting to reveal his blindness, and he said maybe the Doctor doesn't want to reveal his blindness to as many enemies. They'd attacked en masse if they knew he was blind. I think good point, Ken. Absolutely. And then here's my favorite. He told us both, sorry, but not all blue aliens are not related. Sorry, but all blue aliens are not related. You two are so speciest. So thank you, Ken. I appreciate that very much. By the way, on a side note, but we got into this a little bit on Twitter, and take a drink. It's a Springsteen reference. Lost in the Flood is a Springsteen song that came from one of his couple of first albums, and I'm not
Springsteen reference. Take a drink.
Yes, I'm not a big fan of the episode. On a scale 1 to 5, I gave it a 3, and my fellow Springsteen fans almost were as angry at me as certain Doctor Who fans were about my not giving love to K9. So that got referenced on Twitter, and so I don't know.
You blaspheme against K9. You're asking for it, buddy.
So don't know if I like Lost in the Flood, but I love K9 as I lift my get well gift
Funko figure.
Yes. I will never doubt the greatness of K9 again.
As well you should.
Yes. What do we got coming up, Charles? We only have 3 episodes left?
First I should mention, before we move on, that we also have some audio feedback from Judy Dion.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's Dion or Dion, so apologies if whichever that is. I want to get it right, so maybe you can let me know, Judy. Yeah. But you sent us some audio feedback on The Lie of the Land. Yeah. So hopefully we'll tack it on, like, say, here.
Yeah. Hi, Jesse and Charles. This is Chuchi Judy, the Polish blonde in Central Massachusetts, and I figured I'd grant your request for some audio feedback. But since Skype does not appear to be your friend, I decided to submit this to you via an alternate route. This week's episode, The Lie of the Land, what a title. That can be taken in so many ways. How the monks lie to keep their power, how they changed our landscape in every city and town by building those statues, and how a lie saved the human race. Because ultimately, that's what Bill's mother is, a lie, a fictional character she created out of love, but she created that character so that she could share her thoughts with her. That's what saved us, and it was a lie, ultimately. I also like the analogy that the Doctor used fairly on, comparing the monks to the Romans. The Romans conquered most of the civilized world, and some parts that were not so civilized, killed many but saved billions, and became the foundation for our Western civilization. And their language became the basis for the 4 major languages of Western civilization: English, French, Spanish, and Italian. But he also brought up benevolent dictatorship and claims that the monks were better than the Daleks. I wonder if Toby Whithouse or Moffat, because as I'm sure he had some input into this script as the final of this 3-parter, realized that he was describing victimocracy, that political concept that you are a victim and only your elected leaders and your government can save you from yourselves if you allow the government to rule every aspect of your life. That was very much the gist of the propaganda video during the pre-credit sequence. And ultimately, it all came back to love. Bill's love of her mom, where she created that fictional character of her, is what that defeated the psychic link that was created when Bill asked the monks for help out of love for the Doctor. Very circular on that. Am I the only one that was creeped out by that maniacal evil laugh that the Doctor laughs as he rams the hole into the dock? Even if he did ram the hole, I don't know. It seemed like they was going pretty fast. Also, the jury's kind of still out regarding Missy. Nice to see her, but I would have thought that the stylist would have done a better job on her hair. It looked awful. Thanks for the info, Charles, on the theme music for the show. Also, I'd like to add my voice in regards to the musical tone of this season. I like the creativity of using the song titles, but please stop singing. It scares my cats. Thanks a bunch. Talk to you guys later. This is Chachi Judy, the Polish Blonde in Central Massachusetts, signing out.
Okay, wasn't that great? All right, so thank you, Judy, for providing that feedback. And see, we didn't forget. Finally, we finally get that in.
Yes.
So again, hopefully we're back on track. And thanks to you for keeping us honest.
Absolutely.
All right. So yeah, next time on Next Stop Everywhere,
yes,
we're going to talk about the Eaters of Light, which is great Doctor Who title because hey, you got the and of in the title, so that automatically makes it a good Doctor Who title.
And
written by Rona Munro, who is the writer of the very last story from classic Doctor Who Survival. Back in 1989 with Sylvester McCoy's Doctor. And so this makes her the very first returning writer from the classic era to write for new Doctor Who. So I'm very curious to see how this turns out.
Yeah.
And the trailers look very promising. So yeah, very cool.
Oh, and, that is good.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes next week right here on Next Stop Everywhere.
Okay, yeah. How many episodes do we have? 3 left?
We have 3 more left. So yes, we're heading to episode 10 next week. And then we have a long wait to the Christmas special. And apparently the 13th Doctor has been cast, according to Russell T. Davies. If you've seen some news that I posted on our Next Stop Everywhere Facebook page. But of course, Russell T. Davies cannot say who it is because the BBC will come down on him like a ton of bricks. So we'll have to see how they announce it. But production on the Christmas special should be starting within a few weeks. So I have to imagine we're going to get an announcement somehow very soon.
Yeah, I would think so. I am surprised that, of course, I did not know. I mean, I guess there'd been Capaldi rumors, but it wasn't until we got close that we actually figured that out, right? I mean, it was.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was before the Day of the Doctor aired that Capaldi's announcement was hit. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Well, actually, it had to be. Well, even because Matt Smith wasn't. It was like sometime after the Name of the Doctor that we got the Capaldi announcement.
Yeah, and they
did where they did that Doctor Who Live special, and which you can get on iTunes if you're curious about seeing that if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, and I'm glad.
It's kind of weird to get a whole we're going to announce something and then spend a whole hour building up to it and then finally announce it. But we got it. So we'll see if they do something similar like that with the upcoming 13th Doctor.
Yeah, I hope they do. I liked, that.
So as soon as we find out, you'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Good.
So this would be a great excuse for you to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. So so we'll be at Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast on Facebook, or you can reach us at Next Stop SMG on the Twitter machine. So please follow us there. We definitely appreciate it. And if you want to email us, like Holly from Wisconsin, and hopefully now we'll get it.
Yes.
You can reach us at nextstopeverywheresmg@gmail.com. And and then we'll read your email right here on Next Stop Everywhere, just like we did with Holly. And please rate us on iTunes and subscribe to us on iTunes if you're not already, because that helps other Whovians like you find our little show. And please help us spread the word of Next Stop Everywhere.
Absolutely. You are also can leave us a voicemail at 214-736-3121. Or you could do like Judy did, the Polish Blonde in Central Mass. You can send us an MP3 file. That's what she did, and so we're going to insert that smoothly into the episode, I have no doubt.
I have no doubt either, because Jesse's editing.
Thank you, Charles.
Thumbs up.
Yes, I can be reached at Jesse Jackson, DFW. and you can hear me on Roadside Attractions, the American Gods podcast. We are getting close to the end of the first season, but yes, that's take a drink. There's a dog in the background.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Yeah. So let me try this again. Charlie, settle down. All right, 3, 2, 1. I can be reached at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter. I am on Roadside Attractions, American God podcast. We are getting close to the end of the first season. Loving this ride, a lot of fun, and of course, my Set Listing Bruce. The Bruce Springsteen podcast is creeping on to 100 episodes, so we'd appreciate anyone who's interested in music. Kind of interesting note, Charles, as I promote. I reached out to different podcasters and fans, and I said, are you a fan of music, but not necessarily a fan of Bruce Springsteen? And if so, I'd like to record. I'm going to give them 10 diverse Springsteen songs that most people wouldn't know, not the hits, right. And they're going to listen to them, and then we're going to discuss them, what they liked them, what they didn't like about it, and that's coming up over the next month or so. I'm going to have a series of those, and I think those are going to be fun discussions.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So here you are trying to indoctrinate new Springsteen fans.
Yes, I am.
I see what you're up to, Jackson. I see what you're doing there.
You know, I'm thinking we may do a similar thing as we do some classic rewatch. You know, you and I on the off season, there's always classic Who to watch, but it may be interesting to have the same thing. If we have a couple of people who haven't been Doctor Who fans that wanted to, we could say, okay, here's an episode we think that's very...
That's an idea.
Yeah, and just have someone...
We'll have to file that one away for later, but right. Yeah, that's something to consider.
Yeah, so I've been...
So if you know someone of interest that might be interested in joining us for that, drop us a line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So Charles, how can they... what's coming up in your multiple podcasts, and how can they reach you?
Well, obviously you can reach me at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine, at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram, and Facebook, of course, at Charles Skaggs. Google Plus for all you crazy kids on the Google Plus. Shout out to Karen. And my blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn good coffee and hot. Where I talk about Next Stop Everywhere and Doctor Who and Torchwood and all kinds of comics and sci-fi goodness. Posted my Wonder Woman review if you're curious about that as well. And so please check that out. And because I also use that to help promote the show. So if you want to stay in touch about what we're up to, that's another great way to do it. And then my other two podcasts that I do, the Phantom Zone podcast, which I do with Karen Lindsay, friend of the show, where we talk about comic book on TV goodness. And then also my Twin Peaks podcast, Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast that I do with Zan Sprouse, where we are reviewing the current revival of Twin Peaks on Showtime, which has been fantastic.
Good.
And yeah, we'll be watching episode 6 tonight on Showtime, and then reviewing it later this week. So hopefully we'll have last week's episode hopefully available tomorrow. Well, this will be, by the time you get this, will be, say, Monday the 5th, if you'd like to check that out.
Monday the 12th.
Oh, I'm sorry, Monday the 12th. I'm a week behind.
Wow.
Apparently I've time traveled.
Yes, indeed.
yes, Monday the 12th, because somebody like yours truly has a birthday later this Friday. So
yay. Good.
On the 16th. So all right, so I think that about does it for now.
I think so. Charles, thank you as always.
And thanks to you, Jesse. You're always a joy to talk to. I love doing this with you.
I do too.
And listeners, thank you very much for checking us out here on Next Stop Everywhere. And please tell your friends, neighbors, and arch enemies that have snuck away in the TARDIS.
Yes.
About us, and help us spread the word, okay?
Absolutely. we're going to say keep hope alive. And end with, if people see you mean them no harm, they never hurt you 9 times out of 10.
Very nice.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
See, I need a little more silence than that, or else it doesn't show up on the recording. So count to 5, then we can go.
Okay, so we'll leave a little silence right now. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Charles. That makes my job easier.
Hopefully that gives Jesse a little bit of time to splice that in there.
Absolutely.
So we'll see how smoothly that transitions. So apologies if I totally screwed that up.
No, you didn't at all. And thank you for reminding.
What do you expect?